women, drink and whatever, and listen to the wrong party. So finally, when he gave advice so unpalatable that Fu Chai didn't like it, Fu Chai actually sent a sword to Ng Chi Soi and said, kill yourself. I don't want to hear anything more from you anymore. So Ng Chi Soi, before he died, he wrote a letter back to the Fu Chai and said, I'm going to kill myself, but make sure you put my eyeballs in the front of the gate because I want to see the Yue army coming in and conquer this place. You go and see your ancestors down in hell because you have done the wrong thing by your country. And true enough, you know, Yue actually came and conquered Wu. And to this day, there are many people in China who still treat Ng Chi Soi as one of the greatest, most loyal servants because unlike Xin Mo, he says, even if my king is to kill me, I will give him the right advice. My life means nothing. And my loyalty is not just to Fu Chai, who is only a kid. My loyalty is to He Lu, who I serve happily, faithfully. And in his memory, I will continue serving his son, even though his son is so and so. You know? And so a lot of people in Chinese history regard regard Ng Chi Soi as a truly great, loyal servant of the people. And therefore he has a special place. But okay, let me sort of, before we go into all these technicalities, let me do some kind of propaganda work for Xin Mo. Sorry? Yeah, Xin Mo, because you have to know the reach of this guy. The reach of this guy goes way beyond China. Let's have a quick run through who are the people who are singing songs of praise to Xin Mo. To begin with, Napoleon Bonaparte had a transcript of Xi Jinping Fat and used it in his warfare. And he keeps singing songs of praise. He says, this guy is amazing. So even modern day warfare, recently Desert Storm and so forth, General Schwarzkopf and General Colin Powell, they said they depended on the principles of Xi Jinping Fat. Deception, strike hard, overwhelming force, speed, they use it. All the major military colleges in the world study Xi Jinping Fat today, 2,500 years since his time. And on top of that, if you go and look around, even outside the areas of war, for example, the management today, there are so many books on management based on Xi Jinping Fat. And then even in soccer, Philippe Luis Scolari, the guy who won the World Cup as a coach for Brazil, he translated Xi Jinping Fat into Brazilian, and all his players and all his coaching staff had to read it. They use it in soccer as well. Okay? And if you think about it, probably the greatest, modern day, what we call revolutionary fighters outside China are in Vietnam. And this is the great Ho Chi Minh and the great General Giap. General Giap still alive, he just celebrated his 100th birthday. Now these guys kicked out the French and also kicked out the Americans with very little. With very little. They were very poor, very backward country, but they won. And in fact, when General Giap was told that when they take on America, you're taking on the greatest power, military power in the history of the world. Maybe not. But he says, you know, they have such incredible technology, you have no chance of fighting them. General Giap says, you know, we will meet this great material force with moral force. And the greatest modern military technology will be overwhelmed by our ancient wisdom. And when he talks about ancient wisdom and moral force, he's talking about Xi Jinping Fat. In fact, Xi Jinping Fat is locked up in the museums in Vietnam because it's considered such a national treasure. So, you know, and back inside, there's Japan, which they have studied the Xi Jinping Fat for a long time. Admiral Togo, the guy who beat the Russians, he was a big fan of Xi Jinping Fat. Most of the major daimyos and the major shoguns in China, in Japan, including the great Tokugawa Ieyasu, complete fans of Xi Jinping Fat. One of the greatest industrialists in Japanese and world corporate history, you know. This founder of Panasonic, he built his whole culture of corporate culture and development and made his staff to read compulsory the Bible is Xi Jinping Fat. Panasonic brand is built on Xi Jinping Fat. So there you are, it's huge testimonials from all over the world, in all parts of the world. And most important, of course, in Chinese history, the great Qin Shi Huangdi, he seldom gives acknowledgement or credit to anyone else, but he did give to Xinji. He says, I managed to unite the other 6 guys, smash the other 6 kingdoms, unite China, in part because I relied on Xi Jinping Fa. He was a big fan of Xi Jinping Fa. Most of the other books he burned, he said they're all crap, but Xi Jinping Fa he kept. So there you are, huge testimonial. In fact, after him, Chou, who's also kind of wrote 13 chapters on his interpretation of Xi Jinping Fa, also a big fan of Xi Jinping Fa, and Lao Bei, each of them take a different principle, which I will go through with you later, and take it to the max. And of course, the people who ran Ngok, the later version of Ngok, there are 3, Sok Gok, Ngai Gok and Ngok. Ngok people were actually descendants of Xinji. They claim Xin Mo because they're all Sing Xun. Okay, Xin Jit, Xin Kun, they're all Sing Xun. And then further down the track, you know, Mao Zedong, probably the greatest, you know, modern day revolutionary, he big fan of Xi Jinping Fa. In fact, when the American advisors, the military people, came to China during the confrontation between the nationalists and the communists, they spoke to the nationalist leaders, the generals, and asked them, they said, what sort of military strategies do you use? And they said, oh, we are very up to date, you know, we follow the Americans, the Russians, we Germans, we are very up to date. And the general asked them, American general asked them, don't you read Xi Jinping Fa? They said, no, they're so outdated 2,000 years ago, no. So they asked the American general, they said, what's the latest? Can you share with us? What's the one that you use now? Can you share with us? He said, yeah, Xi Jinping Fa. So you know who won the war, right? The communists. So there's something to Xi Jinping Fa which the nationalists missed out on if they didn't emphasize a bit enough. All right, Xi Jinping Fa come from Sun Mo. The Japanese take on this is that there are quite a few people, you know, on the Japanese side of the equation that said one of the reasons why their military performed really well against many people, including the Chinese who also read Xi Jinping Fa, was that they took out some vital lessons from that drill, that meeting between King Helu and Sun Mo. So what is this in that drill that is so important? You see, let me put it this way to you. When you drill your soldiers enough, you actually turn them into supermen. When you drill them enough, they become a team. And sometimes the sum of their parts, if you work as a good team, you get a multiple figure. So 1 + 1 is not 2, 1 + 1 becomes 11. Because they have a unified spirit. They are prepared to sacrifice. You see, if your soldiers are not well drilled enough, when a bomb comes in or some bullets start flying, people's arms get shot off, there's blood all over the place, you'd be surprised how everybody's for himself. People just forget the whole game plan. Sometimes they even cannibalize each other. They grab their own equipment or whatever, throw the gun away or take somebody else's gun or take the guy's gold chain, whatever. All kinds of horrible things happen. But when the Japanese drill the people really, really hard, these people know that everybody's life is dependent on each other and they work as a great team. And credit to the Japanese, our good brothers just across the sea, they have proven that drill is a really important thing. Drill also gives you this ability to respond in a positive and immediate way to negative stimuli, to negative circumstances. Really important. When you don't have that drill, it doesn't become first nature. When you do that drill, it becomes first nature. Okay, I have lots of people who went through this kind of drill system through corporate training in Japan, and they vouch for it. Many of them have become very, very successful in their careers. Now, you might say to me, have you got kind of proof of that? You know, the other day I was attending this Christmas, sermon, and the pastor was saying to us, he says there was this research done with mice. And apparently, when you put mice in water, most of them drown by the 7th hour. 6 hours plus, they all start drowning. By 7 hours, almost all the mice stop struggling and drown. And so what happened was they further did experiments with similar type of mice, and around the 6 hour plus mark, just over 6 hours before they died, they saved them. They saved them, they dried them, they fed them, let them live. And you know, okay, so they went through a very tough period because they nearly died, right? These guys were in the war. Then later, when they're well fed and good again, they threw them back in the water, and guess how long they lasted? 36 hours. 36 hours, not 9 hours or 10 hours, 36 hours. Because these guys had hope, these guys had belief, and these guys had gone through 6 hours plus before and survived and think that they can survive some more. So when you put troops through a very difficult drill, through very difficult training, their ability to perform is many times more than those guys who didn't go through this kind of tough drill. It's a fact. Give another example. During Qin Shi Huang these days, one of the reasons why they won, there were many, one of the reasons why they won was that they had the best drill army in the world. It is a fact that the soldiers under the Qin Shi Huangdi drilled 3 hours a day in full metal uniform, full armor, marched 3 hours a day, or did battle formations for 3 hours a day. No other army in the world did that on a regular basis. 3 hours of marching or mock combat in full armor every day. Aside from other exercises and things, they did 3 hours in full armor in the hot blazing sun. That's why they could take these really tough conditions when they fought. It's really important to drill. Never underestimate that. Okay? Alright, so we please, I gotta leave some time for Sun Pan as well, okay? But anyway, run very quickly over to you some of the principles that Sun Ji is known for. He says, all war is deception. Hey, there's a lot of truth in that. Chou Chou is a grand master of deception. And lots of people are, so is Mao Zedong. Deception means I look like this, but actually I'm not like this. I look like I'm in danger, but actually I'm prepared. I look like I'm prepared, but actually I'm in danger. Lots of guys do these things. Deception is really important because if people know your position, they can take care of you. If they don't know your position, they can't do anything about you. He says, be extremely subtle, even to the point of formlessness. Be extremely mysterious, even to the point of soundlessness. Thereby you can be the director of your opponent's fate. Formlessness, that's exactly a very Tao concept. Formlessness is the heart of Chinese Kung Fu, Pak Mei and Wasan. Formlessness, because I can throw a technique at you and you think it's this, but it's not. It changes, it mutates. You can think I'm standing firm here, but my stance will take me elsewhere, so you charge in and actually you're offering me all these targets. Because my form is not constant. So the ability to have many permutations makes it almost impossible for your opponent to pin you down. So that's what formlessness is about. And he says, for one to win 100 victories is not the acme of skill. To subdue the enemy without fighting is the acme of skill. It's true. It's true. If you think that you have to fight every time to win, then you're not a great strategist. Because the greatest strategists don't fight. Actual physical combat is a sort of a last choice. He who knows when he can fight and when he cannot will be victorious. That's also true. You can't win every fight. You gotta know when not to fight or when to walk away from a fight. Hence the general is skillful in attack whose opponent does not know what to defend, and he is skillful in defense whose opponent does not know what to attack. Mao Zedong is grandmaster of this. Because whenever the troops try to get him, they wander into the mountains and the villages and disappear. So you don't know where they are, they don't know where headquarters is, you're bombing the wrong place. If you don't know where to attack, all your bullets will miss. And then out of the midst of the night, just when you think he's gone, he comes back. This is very much like him. This is the controversial one. If you know your enemy and know yourself, in 100 battles, you will have 100 victories. Now, you must remember, when you read something, you must understand where this guy is coming from. Sun Mo is a great Taoist. When he says, if you know your enemy, does he really mean your enemy? The actual expression is Ji Bei, Ji Gei, Bak Sing. The Bei, I think, has been, with due respect, mistranslated by a lot of people. Bei doesn't necessarily mean enemy. Bei means another party. So Sun Ji is a very smart man. He is actually trying to tell you that in many instances, you can prevent a war or load yourself up into the right position by forming alliances with different parties or breaking up the alliances of your potential enemy before you even fire the first bullet. But of course, the basic translation that's out there tends to go straight into warfare and say, your enemy, know your enemy. Look, before a war starts, there are no enemies. Anybody could be a potential ally. So Xi Jinping fight here might be sort of too narrowly translated.